Hey everybody, welcome back. Thank you for joining me again. This is probably the most requested video so far from the Georgia Astronomy channel before it linked over to this side, and that was how much did this thing cost me to build? First, I'm going to preface this with that this was the worst time to try to build something from scratch just because of supply chain issues that were going on here in 2022. Wood was at an all-time high. Foam board was, glues, everything was just higher priced than probably what it would have been, a year prior to that, even during the middle of COVID, or even now going here into 2023. So just keep this in mind. This is ridiculous. I tried to keep accurate count the best I could. The prices that I'm about to show you do not include tax. It doesn't include shipping. It's strictly what I paid for it as a net cost at the time of the purchase for the item. So let's get right into it. This is the spreadsheet that I've been keeping for everything that I was spending for. So we grouped it into categories. So we have wood here. This is the XPS foam, the adhesives I use. So the epoxy is the actual epoxy that was used on the fiberglass, as well as the Gorilla Glue. Paint, of course, fiberglass, interior items so like the carpet, the cloth that went on the walls, the aluminum louvers, the AC, the cushions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You can kind of see that. So total price on the wood was about $400, a little over $400, which is not too terribly bad when you think about it. The insulation board was over $400 as well, but the adhesives, that was pretty pricey. That was over $1,700 just in adhesive. Again, the highest dollar item, which is what I've got marked in yellow. So the main core of the camper was the 2-inch foam, the epoxy. And surprisingly enough, the fiberglass cloth wasn't quite as expensive as what I thought it was. I mean, I had to go back and look at receipts and everything on it. But, when you look at these in just the stages, $400 in wood, $460 some odd dollars in insulation, $1,700 in adhesives. That's pretty high. Paint and primer, $400. Well, about close to $500. Fiberglass, $462. Interior items, $720. The exterior, doors and windows. Now that did quite add a lot of bit of cost. The most expensive item there was the rear door, and I think in some cases you could actually have gotten a good door and or windows if you just gone to like an RV junkyard or something. Probably could have got it a lot cheaper. That right there, you probably could have saved over $500 because you probably could have gotten the windows and the door. And if you only went with one window, maybe $50, maybe $75. I don't know, but I didn't have any RV, junkyards around me to go look for. So that is something you kind of want to keep in mind. Some of these costs you can bring down by utilizing other items or repurposing, like, wood, if you had extra wood laying around, 2x4s or whatever. So, I mean, that's kind of part of it. You could save a lot of more money. One example here was, the Nomex didn't mean to do that. The Nomex, yeah, I know there's a problem. There we go. Now that I screwed up my spreadsheet, there we go. The Nomex my brother had, did I have to get a dog bone in the cord? This is for the hardline hookups, to AC power at a campsite. No, it didn't have to. And again, some of the stuff you don't necessarily have to have. If you didn't really worry about having, lights and TVs and, ACs on the inside, you right here could have avoided, $209. Didn't necessarily have to have that. Did it have to have clearance lights? Did it have to have the 2 blue water tanks in there, the water pump, the graphics, all that? If you don't care about that, it's not going to be outside the truck. It's not being towed. You could have saved $330 right there. Did I have to use 2 boxes of gloves. Well, I did because I was mixing fiberglass resin and putting it down on fiberglass. Paintbrushes. These were throwaway paintbrushes. I think there was like 15 to a box. I went through 4 boxes of them. Red Tree rollers, 6 of them, butyl tape, etc. So some of these items you could actually omit and you wouldn't have to worry about it, especially if you had gloves already or, you had plenty of sandpaper, etc. And this was a pretty good deal. It was 1 box of something like 60 pieces of sandpaper off of Amazon, $20. So, I mean, that's not particularly bad. Boat carpet was expensive. The AC, kind of expensive. Cushions, etc. So the grand total on this was $5,864. So $5,800 to basically build a camper up. Again, I probably could have slashed off another $1,000, perhaps, if I just had stuff here at the house that I already had or used, but I didn't. So unfortunately, I had to go buy a lot of this stuff. Now I got a lot of this stuff left over for future projects, so that would bring the cost down, going forward on anything new. But at the time, I had to buy things in order to make this happen. Now, the other part of that was this number right here, this $2,500. So that was for the Blue Eddy power supply, which I had also bought a solar panel to go with it. The Ricoh Titan jacks, I don't know if you would have had to spend this. I don't know of any other way that I would have gotten it into the back of my truck, with the exception of maybe, jacking it up and putting on pallets and trying to come up with some really sketchy way of getting on my truck. But that was $1,000. And these I've seen as low as $700. The elevator price here of $949, I think that was due to supply chain issues because it was really hard to find them. And once I did, the prices kept going up on the different websites. So I finally got it for $950. The electric ones were stupid price. They were almost triple that. So supply and demand, you're going to pay for it. The pillows, the stove, the wire looms to put all the wiring wrapped up into. I didn't necessarily have to have. The wire baskets that were hanging in the kitchen. I didn't need a TV, which means I wouldn't have needed the TV bracket. Didn't need the RV door latch, but I didn't want to use a bungee cord to hold it open when I was out at the campsite. The coax hatch, didn't necessarily need that as well. And then of course the refrigerator. So, $350 on that Bodega refrigerator. Probably could have gotten away with just using, a regular cooler to hold my stuff to go out there. So that's $2,500 right there, and $1,000 of that is just for those Ricoh Titan jacks. So you could have probably saved $1,500 overall. So again, those were just items, kind of I want items that went into it. They weren't actually involved in the actual construction of it. That's what you saw over on the left-hand side. So yes, $5,800. Did I spend too much? I don't know. I've never built a camper before, so I'm not really sure what the budget should have been. Could I have done it cheaper? Absolutely. Had I had extra wood from here or there, or, went and, asked friends for 2x4s or whatever, probably the initial costs would have definitely been for the foam and the fiberglass. That just isn't stuff I had laying around. I didn't necessarily have to have, shoreline power. I didn't necessarily have to have, a couple of the extras and the things that were in there. I didn't have to have an AC. And when you look at it by each section, it's not bad. It's, $400, $400, $400, $500. But man, that adds up. And when it adds up, you're looking at $5,800. So I'm curious. Put down in the comments below, did I spend too much money? Should I just bought something for $3,000 and then invested another $3,000 to, bring it up to a livable condition, or, slightly less than livable condition? Again, it was fun. I had a good time doing it, and I got some good video material out of it. But, is it really worth it? Would I be able to sell it and get that back out of it? I seriously doubt it. I don't think there's any way I'm going to be able to sell that thing for $6,000 and somebody to buy it. I mean, it's a homemade camper. It's exactly what it is. It's just a homemade camper. So I don't know. Right or wrong, it was fun. I had a good time, and I proved I could do it to myself. So that's what makes it the best. Coming up, the next project's about to start, and that is going to be the bass boat. So the bass boat build is about to happen. I'm not building one from scratch, and I'm not building one out of foam, but I did get a bass boat, and it's an older bass boat and needs a lot of love. So that's going to be the next set of videos that are coming in. All right, let me know. Please like and subscribe, and stick around. More good stuff to come.